Ready to go? Hello. For Halloween, I had a wonderful video idea. Yeah, Halloween. You know that holiday that just passed? This video was going to be me taking a fictional animatronic horror band and giving it the same treatment that I do in my other animatronic content. Yo, what a great idea! That's not what this video is. Halloween passed me by, and obviously this video is kind of a monster. I didn't mean for it to go this way. I didn't mean for this to happen. Animatronics being used in horror has skyrocketed thanks to a certain 2014 juggernaut of a horror franchise. Animatronic animal bands left in the past were revitalized beyond what anyone expected, mainly revitalized for the horror community, or maybe the people who have been saying for decades that animatronic mascots are a little uncanny. There's a lot of hot takes about that. The fictional animatronic band we'll be covering today obviously has to be the Banana Splits! Okay, you're not fooled. You read the title. You know what we're here for. When I began writing the script for the fictional band that was featured in the 2019 animatronic comedy horror film, I felt a weird scratch inside my brain to go a little deeper, to learn more, to keep looking at them. The Banana Splits. Surely a little dive into the background of this franchise won't derail my entire video. Well, I've technically known about the Banana Splits for years. Not consciously, they linger in the subconscious. But I was a child in 2008, and I remember being very confused by the short bumper segments that aired on Cartoon Network. I didn't understand them. What are these things? So let us watch the Banana Splits from my childhood.
It's the Banana Splits Show! Knock, knock!
Who's there?
Noah!
Noah who?
Know a good place to eat around here? I'm starving!
Why is the studio audience laughing? Listen, I understand that the 2008 revival shorts on Cartoon Network were not meant to be watched all at once like this, or to be more critical by an adult, but I really thought I was at the end of this 20-minute video compilation, and oh no, I'm only 5 minutes in. Well, this is awful. I was the exact demographic for Cartoon Network at this time, and even back then, I didn't think that these were for someone my age. Even so, I really thought that I would be charmed by these shorts as an adult, but they're not funny. Everything is so fast, and the actors are in these baggy costumes that don't allow them to convey or clearly act. Sometimes I don't even know who's talking because their mouths don't move very well.
Come on, Banana Bro, go with the flow!
What the heck was this live-action tomfoolery interrupting my cartoons? There has to be something more going on here, right? What actually are the Banana Splits? Who are the Banana Splits? How are the Banana Splits? Why? Why? Maybe I've gotten ahead of myself here. Maybe we have to start at the very beginning. In 1967, Hanna-Barbera needed a new show starring a band for Kellogg's to sponsor, because creating shows starring bands is half of what Hanna-Barbera did. This is primarily the Monkees' fault, and it's the Monkees that are likely the reason the Banana Splits have a very monkey-themed name. That or the relation to Kellogg's breakfast cereal. People eat bananas in their breakfast cereal. Soggy bananas. They originally wanted to name the band the Banana Bunch, but they couldn't get the rights. I think that this is for the best because, personally, I just don't think the Banana Bunch is a good name. It's like, boring. Never mind all that though. They're called the Banana Splits, and I blame Davy Jones personally. This new show would be based on the popular variety show format of the time, and most of all, live action. The fact that they wanted to make a live action show but still have like the cartoon aspect, it was new. It was different. No one else was really doing that. The early character designs were done by artist Jerry Eisenberg. I love looking at how different things could have been. I love development art. Yay! The final designs were constructed into giant costume puppets by the very talented Croft brothers. These are our banana splits, who you will become well acquainted with over the course of this video. The 4 red helmet-wearing characters consisted of a lisping beagle named Fleagle on guitar, a smiling orangutan named Bingo on the drums, a long-tailed lion named Drooper on the bass, and last but not least, a shaggy elephant named Snorky on the keyboard. September 7th, 1968, their show, The Banana Splits Adventure Hour, aired for the first time on television. The zany, psychedelic, bubblegum rock band was accompanied by laugh tracks and slide whistles, and so many other sound effects. And I can't stop staring at them. This variety show is partially found media. The first season consisted of 18 one-hour-long episodes. Hence the name, The Banana Splits Adventure Hour. These episodes in their original format are unreleased. Fortunately, we can watch the modified episodes where they took each hour-long episode and they split it in half, giving us 36 episodes titled The Banana Splits and Friends Show. These shorter episodes allowed for easier syndication. All Kellogg's references were cut and the Banana Split segments were modified. Hence why it's lost media. There's a lot cut and modified that we just don't have access to the original. Well, the Banana Splits of my childhood wasn't very good, but this is the original. I mean, there's gotta be something here, right? Right? Only one way to find out.
Banana split! Revenge! The banana split!
My first impression of the first episode is that their mouths don't move too well, to a point where I thought there was no movement at all. Aside from Drooper, who I thought's actor was purposely moving in a way to make the jaw open and close.
If you want to be a piano-playing flea, you gotta practice.
But watching on, some shots do highlight the limited movement of each character's jaw. This lack of facial animation is fixed by the distinct voices they give each character. Fleagle lisps.
Time for official Banana Splits Club business.
Bingo is very nasally.
All the members of the Banana Splits who aren't here, do not raise your hand.
Drooper has a southern accent.
The members who aren't here won't raise their hands.
And Snorky doesn't talk at all. He honks. That's my Snorky impression. Did you like it? Once you can recognize what voice belongs to who, the show becomes so much easier to watch. Each episode starts in the Banana Splits clubhouse. From what I can tell, the Banana Splits isn't just the name of their band, but it's the name of the club that they all belong to. Hence the weird matching helmets that they wear. Imagine fezzes instead of helmets, and it starts to make a little bit more sense. That's culty. Watching episode 1 is all you really need to understand the format of the variety show. After the catchy tra-la-la opening, the Banana Splits are involved in a short blackout gag. We then cut to our first presented segment. The first segment is always an episode of a cartoon, either being the Three Musketeers or Arabian Nights. In the original hour-long episodes, both would air, but in the modified 30-minute format, the two cartoons alternate per episode. After the animated short ends, it'll be a music video of one of the Banana Splits' hit songs, sometimes accompanied by another gag. The next segment is a serialized live-action show called Danger Island. Each Danger Island segment ends with a dramatic cliffhanger to prompt viewers to tune in again next week. And after all that, we get the Banana Splits outro gag and credits. That's it. That's the show. Very rarely, the cartoon would be swapped out with something that isn't Arabian Nights or Three Musketeers, as the variety show's format allows for easy switcherooing. But it's pretty unlikely you'll watch an episode containing a non-French or Arab-themed cartoon. Full honesty, as I started to take notes on episode 2, I started to get a little worried. Despite the show being called The Banana Splits, there wasn't much, banana splits in them. Which, fair, it's a variety show, but after episode 2 ended, I was regretting all my life decisions. And then something happened. I moved on to episode 3, and in the intro gag, the Banana Splits are contacted by their arch rivals, the Sour Grape Bunch.
It's Charlie with a message from the sour grapes.
This little girl named Charlie waltzes in and starts terrorizing them with dance in order to deliver a message.
What does the message say, Fleagle?
Their toughest guy wants to meet our toughest guy in the alley right now.
Gosh, Fleag, what do we do?
So they force Snorky outside the brawl of the sour grapes, and then he comes back like this. Oh, did I just laugh at a banana splits joke? How is this possible? Do I maybe actually like this? Fleagle is the leader of the Banana Splits and Club. He has exactly one brain cell more than the rest of the band, which isn't saying much. This is the first time I've ever seen the original 1968 designs, and let me tell you, never in my life have I considered Fleagle to be cute. But this? Original Fleagle. He is cute. Look at him. Look at him. I love his fancy shoes! But he has these bizarre eldritch branches sticking out of his head. What are those? What is that? Bingo has some nice shades and chunky teeth. Before I started the script, I was sure Bingo would be my favorite design, but I think out of the original 4, he may be my least. I am shocked, honestly. I love mascots with bright smiles. Maybe next time, Bingo. Drooper has a noticeably long snout, squinty eyes, and spats. Spats! He has these stitches on his mouth, which may be wrinkles? Chapped lips. If I watched more Banana Splits as a child, Drooper would have definitely been my favorite because of his long tail. That was just a design choice I always gravitated to when I was a tyke. He also has sticks in his head like Fleagle. I still don't get it. What are those? Bug legs? Antlers? Hairs? Snorky's look noticeably changes because clips of season 2 are sprinkled in the opening of the Banana Splits and Friends show. You're not going crazy. These are both Snorky. Well, technically all of the characters get a season 2 redesign, but we're going to talk about that a little later. We're only talking about Snorky now because it's so glaring in your face. Like, who is that? In the original Adventure Hour Season 1, Snorky was a mop, a mammoth, a little guy. He was changed for Season 2 to represent a regular elephant, which is kind of a shame, because the redesign is a bit more generic, isn't it? That's not to say I don't like the redesign, I think he's very cute. The actors in the suits do a lot of falls and stunts. A lot. Nearly every gag ends with a fall or direct violence. While the Banana Splits are portrayed as friends, they aren't afraid to throw hands with each other. They choose violence every time. Every time. With silly cartoon sound effects. Gotta admit, I would feel invincible wearing one of these costumes. I could do anything. Stunts, driving, rumbles, jumping off buildings, you name it, I could do it. As I was trying to dive, not in the suit, but into the personalities of the Banana Splits characters, kind of a stretch. This will be like my major criticism of the show. Because the variety show's format, all 4 members of the Banana Splits are made for one purpose alone: gags. Not character-driven gags either, but gags that can be filled by any member of the band. Using another Hanna-Barbera property as an example, Scooby-Doo. While basic archetypes, Fred, Velma, Daphne, and Shaggy are different archetypes. You can't swap out the Scooby-Doo characters for each other. Unlike the Banana Splits, who can be swapped out in nearly every gag. The variety show's format doesn't allow them to be different characters. All 4 are zany, goofy, and clumsy. Their only real defined characteristic is one that they all share. They are so stupid. In the end, Fleagle, Bingo, Drooper, and Snorky are just not very well defined outside of them being a little silly. For a moment, I think maybe Drooper is the chill one of the bunch, but no. Drooper has no chill, not really.
May I ask for someone to assist me?
I'd be glad to, Drooper.
Thank you, Bingo.
I think Bingo is a little more spastic. But no, they all are. I'm reading too deep. I'm going too deep into the banana splits. There are directions I would personally take the characters, but it simply isn't here. It is not actually in the material. All we got really is Snorky being a bit of a clean nut, or Fleagle's extra brain cell. He actually makes stuff, like machines. Magical machines. I think now would be a good time to give the reoccurring side characters a mention. The main ones would be a blue moose hanging above the doorway, Banana Vac, I think, the cuckoo clock, the sour grapes, the Dilly sisters, who just show up and stand outside their house. That's the entire gag. Speaking of gags, I figured we wouldn't talk about the segments within the Banana Splits Adventure Hour show, because if we have to talk about Danger Island in great detail, we're going to be here for like 2 hours. We're not doing it. But I could. Just understand that these shows exist on their own plane independently of the Banana Splits. I will, however, talk about the reoccurring gag segments within the Banana Splits. I did mention the Dilly sisters. It's actually a very sweet bit. Drooper will open the door, or occasionally the mailbox, the window, the periscope, the clock, and the Dilly sisters will be shown outside singing. Why? I don't know. Their voices cut off instantly when the door closes. Fleagle and Drooper will usually comment on how talented and great the sisters are.
You know something? Those Dilly sisters are getting better all the time.
So the Banana Splits are not at war with all little girls. Just a specific bunch. The Sour Grape Bunch are the Banana Splits' child arch rivals. Why are these children beefing with the Banana Splits? Their segments start with a member of the Grapes, all named Charlie. They're all named Charlie, don't ask. Arriving to the audience standing ovation. They dance into their theme song, push the Splits around, and deliver a letter that is usually a sort of physical challenge. The Banana Splits then proceed to get majorly whooped. Club member meetings. Fleagle bangs a gavel to call the Banana Splits Club to order. Hijinks ensue, and nothing of business ever gets done. Bingo acts as the unofficial second-in-command during these meetings, and Snorky is the chairman of the Secret Code Committee. I love that. Ogre in the cellar. The Banana Splits own a dog. Fleagle and Bingo and sometimes Drooper deal with Ogre living underneath their clubhouse, and occasionally someone dies. Ogre kills people. That's the joke.
Hey, Snorky! Clean the pad!
He's so good at cleaning. Don't look at him. Sometimes Bingo helps out too.
Hey, Fleagle, get the mail.
Fleagle retrieves mail with great difficulty. There is something living in the mailbox.
Here's Fleagle, your Banana Splits reporter with the latest news.
Fleagle stands at a podium and delivers some important information to the audience, which is you.
And now it's riddle time.
Fleagle will ask Bingo or Drooper a riddle. Not Snorky, because he doesn't talk. Ha! They always give cheeky, banana-themed answers in return, even when it doesn't make much sense. Snorky has bits where he shoots or throws things out the window, and silliness ensues.
Now it's time for Dear Drooper.
Bingo reads letters sent in for Drooper to answer. Drooper tends to answer in puns and jokes. Sometimes Bingo likes them. Sometimes he does not.
Hey, Drooper! Take out the trash!
Fleagle tells Drooper to take out the trash, but the thing living in the trash can does not care for it. Ah, look at him wall sit because the chair is fake. I love that! Mildred the Robot, guest starring Robbie the Robot as Mildred. Fleagle fixes up a magical robot named Mildred, and Bingo makes wishes that completely backfire.
Hey, Mildred, make me a banana split.
You are a banana split.
Much to Fleagle's panicked dismay.
Back to the old drawing board.
I love the entire set of the clubhouse. It's supposed to be fun and psychedelic and colorful, and I absolutely love when any character wall sits on the 2D furniture. It tickles me. So I might like this.
Really want to leave? Make this kind of motion. Bye!
That is how I exit rooms.
Hey, Bingo, wait for me. So long.
Well, that's pretty much season 1. But the Banana Splits are a band, aren't they? How's their music? Good. The thing that happens when you first listen to the Banana Splits music is you go into it expecting it to be really bad. Okay? Everyone knows the opening theme, but it's not my favorite song. It's a little annoying. And then you actually listen to the songs and you're like, oh, these are real songs. If you like 1960s bubblegum rock, you will like these. There are a few songs written for the band with the usual banana puns involved, but then there are real 1960s songs that Hanna-Barbera purchased, and now they're just in the Banana Splits discography forever. The only real issue I take with the music is that the band members don't sing them.
La 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 la.
This also may be a plus. But on the other hand, they're supposed to be a fictional band. Shouldn't they at least be able to be shown singing and playing instruments instead of like whatever this and that is? Like, they're clearly not playing and they're not singing. They're like not even a real band. They're frauds. And now, who did this? The music is actually good. My poor roommates have had to listen to Tra La La so many times, and that song that I didn't used to like, Tra La La, 1 banana, 2 banana, 3 banana, 4 bananas make a bunch, and so do many more. Well, guess what? Now I like it. It's grown on me like a weed. And the thing about the album is there are so many good songs that are not even on it. You have to buy like the little 45s, and I just I can't talk myself up to buying a bunch of 45s. There's gonna be songs you don't like, of course, because you are an individual, and I used to hate Tra La La until it infected me like a worm. Some songs are so sincere, like Pretty Painted Carousel or I Enjoy Being a Boy. I love I'm Going to Find a Cave because same? How can you not relate to a song titled I'm Going to Find a Cave? Don't Go Away Go Go Girl has to be like the best song title in existence. It's a Good Day for a Parade. They have like a child crying in the background of the song. In the music video, there's a purpose. It's because they do this. But then when you're listening to the song, there's just like a child screaming and crying in the song, and they just keep it in there. Why did they keep that in? The Banana Splits music lives on into the modern day, and there's tons of covers from bands like They Might Be Giants, The Dickies, Fall Out Boy. We gotta move along here. I could talk about the music all day. Also, I wanted to bring up the cover. Who is that? That's not Snorky's redesign, and that's not Snorky's old design. So this version of the costume was only used in 1969 and 1970 like promotional stuff. Who at Hanna-Barbera or Kellogg's was like, I don't like Snorky's white eyes. I want you to give him beads like Bingo. And like, fair enough, I like the beads more, but also, that's a lot of work. Anyway, I love this album, and a gorilla. He's an orangutan. The Banana Splits Adventure Hour, or as it was later called in the shorter modified format, the Banana Splits and Friends show, and that's what we've been watching, keep in mind. We've been watching the Banana Splits and Friends show because we don't have access to the Adventure Hour. The hour-long episodes are kept in Warner Brothers' vault. Season 2 in particular remains unrestored and officially unreleased. You can find some Season 2 clips online, identified by the use of Snorky's redesign. Season 2 has more reoccurring gags we just don't really have access to, like Fleagle the Magnificent, which oddly enough, Fleagle being a magician will come up later, and we cannot watch any of the original gags for it. I feel like I'm shrugging a lot in this video, and it's just like, that's what happens when it's like, we can't watch it. Super Drooper, where Drooper is a superhero, and multiple workout bits where Bingo will act like a coach. If it ever feels like Snorky doesn't get as much screen time as the other 3 characters, that's totally fair. Because he doesn't speak, he can't... Did anyone else hear that? All the Season 2 clips that I've seen I like I think they really had it all nailed down. It's a shame the ratings were poor enough to cancel the show. Oh yeah, after 2 seasons and 31 episodes, the Banana Splits Adventure Hour was canceled. They canceled the show. You'll realize pretty quickly how much Hanna-Barbera was able to put into the Banana Splits due to that serial money. They were featured on popular shows. They had their own fan club, a very handsome discography, but mainly, I want to talk about the merch. Of course, the most obvious merchandise would be the cereal boxes and all the things that you can get inside the cereal boxes. I'm going to say the word cereal box a lot in this section. The cereal boxes are very cute. I love the cereal boxes. So originally when I came across like the Banana Split cereal reigns, I thought it was this, but then I was looking at the cereal boxes and the reigns featured in the ads had like the characters' faces. I had not come across any pictures of them yet, so I had to do a little more digging, and I finally found a really grainy picture of a Drooper and a Fleagle ring. I haven't been able to find a Bingo or a Snorky one, and I'm surprised I can find any pictures at all because they're pieces of trash and I really want one. Along with your cereal boxes, you could also get a cereal set with a Fleagle cup and a red bowl that featured the other 3 characters. Cereal cups and napkins. Oh, you could have the whole set for your breakfast. There was a fan club that came with a kit. The fan club ran until 1975. Wall plaques. The wall plaques also came with the cereal boxes. I'm sorry, I can't stop saying. But then I also found like pictures of other wall plaques that maybe they're off-brand. I'm not sure. There's possibly 2 wall plaques. Hand puppets. You know what toy I never see anymore? Freaking hand puppets! All of the records, of course, the 45s and the official album. The Banana Buggy model kits. I did not mention the Banana Buggies yet, but you've seen them. I've shown clips of them. So, for the series, each of the 4 characters was given their own customized 6-wheeled amphibious vehicle because they thought it was cool. How did they convince budgeting? Is that not ridiculous? All 4 custom character automobiles were released as models. I love the kits, I love the boxes, I love the figures. I even considered purchasing one, but I don't make money on these videos. I can't justify spending money. Musical horns, sound makers, parents love them. Some Viewmasters, a lunchbox and a thermos. Look at the art on it. Love. Coloring books, a bingo Halloween costume and only bingo. Pillows. I had to look up what a school tablet was. School tablets. Little figures. Stuffed animals? Like, look at these stuffed animals. Is this not the most grotesque stuffed animal you've ever seen in your life? These look like off-brand, but no, these are official and they are awful. Puzzles. And a board game. The board game looks great. I want it. I love you, Banana Splits board game. There is more modern merchandise, technically in the form of like Funko, Pez, DVD releases of Banana Splits and Friends show, but like nothing beats vintage merch. Is it not great? And in 1969, they had comics, an 8-issue comic run. It's things like this that make me really surprised that the Banana Splits were canceled after only 31 episodes. The comics consisted of those zany Splits' daily adventures, allowing for longer storylines, new characters, and locations the show could not afford. There's roughly 3 to 5 short stories in each issue. I do love their drawn comic selves, though Drooper and Fleagle's coloring confuses me sometimes. Bingo looks great though. And in the first issue, Snorky has his original shag. Snorky's design is updated by the second issue, and does allow for better emoting. Most of the stories are about the band being actual menaces. And it's 1969, so there's some yikes when it comes to certain portrayals. The Banana Splits would never be bad guys. We'll see about that, little Jimmy. The very first panel, I was like, Bingo ain't playing the drums. The artist drew him like he's taking a nap. Bam bam boom my eh. Only to find out that he is actually sleeping, and that's the joke. Who do I think I am? So the Banana Splits clubhouse is actually a condominium, and they are very, very bad neighbors. I was maybe a tad disappointed that there was no further characterization of the Splits. They're like a hive mind, but it is nice that the drawings can show emotions unlike their puppet counterparts. After the initial run that ended in 1971, the Banana Splits wouldn't be featured in comics again until 2017. With an oddly not unfitting crossover. I'm not a fan of the designs though. Bingo's neck would never be that skinny, That's a crime. Get that thin-necked orangutan out of here. You may have noticed the Banana Splits would film their outros, intros, and music videos in theme parks. The theme park they filmed in for Season 1 was Six Flags Over Texas, and Season 2 is Coney Island, Ohio. In 1972, the Banana Splits got a television movie 2 years after their show was canceled. This is Banana Splits in Hocus Pocus Park. The filming took place in Kings Island, also Ohio. I mentioned it before, we're finally going to talk about the Season 2 costumes. Are you ready? What did they do to them? Look at Drooper in the shot. What did they do to him? The characters' mouth movements are so much clearer for the Season 2 costumes. I can only imagine that after the modifications they made on the characters and the constant beatings, they were starting to show their age a little bit. Which is crazy because they were only like 2 or 3 years old at this point. So by the time Banana Splits in Hocus Pocus Park came out, these costumes had been in storage and oh, you can tell, Bingo looks rough. His glasses are always skewed. He got sat on. Moving on to Banana Splits in Hocus Pocus Park, Snorky's just like, lonely. I'm Mr. Lonely. Why is that the official poster? Why do they gotta do Snorky like that? I may be very excited to watch this movie. A whole movie means plot and character-driven arcs and development. The Banana Splits are about to get development? And it's only 44 minutes long, so it's not going to drag. I'm very excited. Don't I look excited? Well, this turns out to be a huge mistake. The film opens with the Banana Splits' new careers since being laid off. Tour guides. Unfortunately, the Banana Splits are having trouble getting business until a girl named Susie takes up their tour. Susie is constantly unimpressed by everyone in the film.
Of the most popular attraction in the place. Us.
If you don't mind, I'd like to see the amusement park.
Meanwhile, a witch decides to kidnap Susie and lures her with a balloon.
No child can resist a balloon.
A balloon Susie really wants.
I want it. I love balloons.
Hey, Susie, come back.
This easily traps Susie in the witch's 2D realm.
I want my balloon.
Hey!
Come back here, you naughty balloon.
Susie, forget the balloon. The Banana Splits' maternal instincts kick in and they go after her.
She forgot to pay us, damn it.
The film is only 44 minutes long and it feels like forever. You may think, how is that possible when 6 minutes in, we get the Banana Splits' adorable animated forms. Look at them. Their animated forms are perfect. No notes, aside from downgrading Fleagle's fancy shoes. You see, unfortunately, it's also 6 minutes into the film that it goes completely downhill. The next 12 minutes of this 44-minute movie are these guys. Who are these goons? Well, they're goons. They attempt to catch the Banana Splits, and it is excruciating. 12 minutes of them making a plan that easily fails, and the Banana Splits are none the wiser. They're not around. They are not thwarting these plans. They don't even know it's happening. 12 minutes. A quarter of the film. It's unfunny. It's in the way. Where are the Banana Splits in this Banana Splits movie? Why are the Banana Splits never featured in their own content? Halfway through the film, our dear band finally meets these two goobers, and they just team up to save Susie.
We can finally move on.
Then we spend the next 10 minutes of them trying to get into the witch's castle. Over and over and over.
If we could only get that drawbridge down.
This is awful. Yeah, okay, they get in, they save Susie, the movie's over. Bad. Like really bad. It's not the worst I've seen, but I have a really low bar. I've seen bad movies. I can't believe that this is the film they decided to make. Why witches? Why this? There were no notes taken, no notes given. It's just constant meandering, and it's really not fun to watch. Look how serious I am about the Banana Splits in Hocus Pocus Park movie. The only split in the movie that gets any real character development would be Fleagle, who is brave and very determined to save Susie. The other three don't care if she rots.
Let's get back to the park.
Wait a second, you guys. We're responsible for Susie.
We gotta get her back.
We gotta get back to ourselves before it gets dark. We're supposed to give a concert on the stage tonight.
I feel like it's doing them kind of dirty. Well, that was extremely disappointing and a very hard 44 minutes to get through. When I watch stuff for this, I really try to pay attention, and I was gone, alright? It's not good. It's the equivalent of dangling keys in front of a baby to get them to shut up. The Banana Splits characters wouldn't show up again until 6 years later for the Hanna-Barbera's All-Star Comedy Ice Revue. Yes, we're watching the Ice Revue. Of course! The premise of the special is that it's Fred Flintstone's birthday, and nearly everyone is there to celebrate. The Banana Splits are each mentioned by name in the opening, and once as a group at the end. The costumes are... No! Why do ice skating costumes always look like this? Okay, they're a bit goofy. Fleagle is green, which is an oddly reoccurring thing. He's not green, he's brown. Oh, why does he look like that? No. He has like the... Ooh. Is this the horror movie already? Bingo looks like a dollar store knockoff. I almost feel bad saying the original Bingo looks like a knockoff because, I take it back. I'm sorry. Drooper's eyes are a bit wider, so the ice performer can see. Awful. In comparison to the other three, Snorky's alright. Don't change him. Okay, it was also in 1978 that the Banana Splits were featured in educational shorts. Many educational shorts starring classic Hanna-Barbera characters were made. The Banana Splits were featured on 6 of these reels. Unfortunately, all lost media. There are libraries in the United States that claim to still have copies, so check your local library. You could potentially watch some of these. Ideally, you could watch it, scan it, and then send it to me. The 6 educational shorts were Banana Splits, Happy and Healthy, We Have 5 Senses, Safety First, It's a Sensational World, Meet the Microbes, and Learning About the Holidays. I do love the way the characters are drawn. The Banana Splits are always adorable in 2D, and there has not been a miss yet. I love all 4 of them. We got Fleagle, Bingo, Drooper, Snork. Perfect, wonderful. Once again, no notes. 1995 in the UK, there was a mockumentary put out on the band. You know how on cable television they have channels that only show band documentaries? That's what this is. And it's so delightful. The mockumentary details the fictional history of the Banana Splits and how they came to fame and who their manager was. It of course explains that the Banana Splits had the most successful debut album in history and went on untraditional tours in American theme parks, only to break up and go into seclusion, refusing interviews, and never seen again. It's very enjoyable just to hear them make stuff up. Did you know that the Banana Splits are from Wisconsin? Oh, isn't that wonderful? Nice to see some good representation. The mockumentary goes on about the secret missing band member who disappeared, named Blubble. Where's Blubble? What did they do to him? It's played so straight, I highly recommend going to watch it.
The songs have a real pop feel, but actually, they're veiled darts.
You referred to the hit single, Gonna Find a Cave.
It was 1968. The Splits took into account the horror of the Vietnam War, the violence in American streets, and the Splits' answer to the pain was, yeah, I'm gonna find a cave. On the West Coast at that time, kids were burrowing holes out of hillsides and crawling in.
I'll link it down below if you want to go watch it. It's very short and goofy, and you guys know I like goofy.
Like we promised, we came back.
From 1970 to the 2000s, the Banana Splits show would regularly air on cable television, which means that the show had many different bumpers throughout the years. So here's a couple online that you can watch. I just thought it would be fair to give a shout out to the bumpers because most people don't think to catalog them, upload them, and not to mention a couple of them have some good points.
Hey, Fleagle, you're the only Banana Split without any shades. You think you're too cool for glasses? Well, you're not.
Fleagle is the only one not wearing sunglasses. It gives you a lot to think about. Well, golly gee. We've been playing the same 31 episodes on cable television
for nearly 30 years. Perhaps we should be making new Banana Splits content. And then they did. That's right, in the 2000s, Cartoon Network commissioned multiple animated interactive segments to be featured on Cartoon Network's website. These would be done by the ad agency Funny Garbage. They even built new costumes. I don't dislike them, I think they're all pretty fun. Fleagle's head is definitely more round. Bingo looks about the same. Drooper's white gloves were dropped. And Snorky's original appearance makes a comeback. Honk honk. And the animated characters are exaggerated and fun, though some design choices are... choices? Why the purple nose? Why is Fleagle's bow tie yellow? What is this weird purple triangle in Drooper's mouth supposed to be? Is that supposed to be a tooth? And I couldn't get any images of Snorky not being in the princess outfit, and I'm not sorry. The story of the webtoon is that it's Bingo's birthday! Yay! And the splits are split up by a magical machine he got as a present. Each character got their own short that allowed viewers to click on the screen, like Dragon Slayer, but less mean. And in the new century, it was really nice to see new material for the franchise.
And this finally takes us back to 2008. Yeah. These shorts that we watched earlier acted as bumpers on Cartoon Network. We're going to finally finish watching these. Do you think I'll still find them to be bad, or I've slowly been corrupted by the banana splits? Only one way to find out.
Why do traffic lights turn red?
You turn red too if you had to change right in the middle of the street.
I get it. A traffic light in the middle of the street changes from yellow to red. And if I was changing my clothes in the middle of the street, I'd turn red too, because I'd be a little embarrassed about not having any clothes on. Yep, that's funny, Drew.
Okay, no, this is objectively cringe and bad. They're not funny. I keep thinking back to the 1960s performers and how energetic and kind of random they were. But watching the 2008 version, there's just something really missing. They're almost not over the top enough. And in baggy costumes with limited movement, you have to be over the top. You have to really be able to convey and mime. You can also tell how the mouths move in this variation because the actors' hands just always happen to be fisting with the dialogue. Actually, watching this made me realize I have no idea how the original mouths moved. I do wish I liked these, it's not coming together for me. These 2008 shorts feel condescending and unloved, and I'm not a fan of the set. I also do want to rag on the costumes a bit. These are the first variations of the costumes that I have ever seen, and I do not like them. You may look at them and you're like, Raya, they're the same. No, they're not. The main problem with them is actually pretty obvious. The fabric. Under the studio lighting, the fabric looks so cheap. It's like that cheap plastic fabric. It sheens under light. It looks bad. It looks bad. They don't look good. It blows my mind if they were going to reboot the banana splits. Why would they cut corners on the most important part, which would probably be the costumes? They make Fleagle's head look so big, which makes his body look smaller, and I think he's just kind of ill-proportioned. Bingo looks fine. He also is the only one to not use the really, crappy fabric that they chose. Drooper Drooper looks gross. I don't want to touch Drooper because Drooper looks like he could give you a disease. He looks like he's been roaming around in the sewer, and I don't like it. This version of Snorky is interesting because it looks like the promotional Snorky that I pointed out earlier.
Who is that?
Once again, he's made of fabric I do not like. These costumes aren't doing it for me. I don't like them. Except Bingo, he gets a pass. The featured segments for these shorts are as follows. The portrait jokes, featuring the 4 characters in picture frames. This is an homage to 1968's Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, the variety show that the original Banana Splits Adventure Hour often credits to be conceptually based on. The unfunny jokes usually cut to some random items featured in said joke. Secret messages sent from the record label for the Banana Splits to decode. Some of the answers don't make sense to me. Why would the record company send that? An updated form of Dear Drooper, with a laptop and email instead of letters. Tell me, do you think the laptop is supposed to be a banana? Cause to me, It looks like a lemon. The roles of this segment between Bingo and Drooper are switched, with Drooper mainly reading the messages and Bingo inserting silly answers. Even though it's called Dear Drooper, Drooper rarely answers the questions. I don't understand this change. An updated form of Fleagle Get the Mail, now titled, Fleagle, I think the mail is here, or Please check the mail, which is far more polite than Fleagle, get the mail! Don't declaw my rude bananas. I do appreciate the different ideas they have for this segment. It's not just a thing living in the mailbox, which was kind of overdone in the original series. There's a lot of things living inside things and making their lives kind of, dangerous. This is the only segment I would consider to be improved from the 1968 version. Along with these shorts, we actually also got new music. There were 5 new songs released under the 2008 Banana Splits. Look! They're actually playing instruments! I don't mind the new music. The songs are different. You know, you would walk up to a musician in 2000 and say, hey, write me a song for kids programming. And this is what they all sounded like. I know because I was there. The members of the Banana Splits still don't sing their own songs either. Those hacks! The 2008 singles include a new cover of the Tra-La-La theme, One Banana, Two Banana, Summertime, Roller Coaster, Go Bananas, and lastly, My Friend Sammy, about a kid like that one from the Twilight Zone episode, I swear.
Let's see if you can make Mr. Fielding disappear.
This 2008 revival was also given a tiny promotional land called Banana Splitsville. This was located in Hard Rock Park, and a defunct website featuring characters with flash games. You may notice a trend that anytime the Banana Splits comes up, they get a bunch of promotional stuff, and I don't know why. A theme park land? A website? More songs? It makes me think there's something going on in the background of this revival. I wonder what the final concept of the 2008 shorts were supposed to be. I wonder if there was like a final goal that they were trying to reach. I just can't imagine what it would be. Am I laying it on a little thick? If you guessed it, congratulations, big brain. That's right, I think they were trying to reboot an entire show. 8 years later, in 2016, a pilot for a new Banana Splits show was made using the 2008 costumes. It's just my opinion, this had to be the final goal of the 2008 shorts, to see if people would be interested in an official reboot of the Banana Splits show. It was October of 2016 that they filmed at Castle Park? Castle Park? If you haven't watched my other content, you might not get that joke. It was reported by Warner that this pilot was probably better than the original show, which is such an interesting quote, and honestly one that I kind of believe. I think the creators they had working behind this pilot would have been very successful in being true to the original source material while being able to add more modern nuance. However, after they finished filming this pilot, all plans for the reboot were finally shelved. I do feel bad for the people who were working on this production because it looks like they had a lot of fun on set. Maybe it was bad. Maybe it was the greatest Banana Splits thing of all time. We just won't really know, ever, because they never released it. Only 15 seconds of the pilot has surfaced. This and this. This is it. You want to see them again? Wow. Well, gosh. It looks like nobody wants a new Banana Split show. And around the same time, Warner just lost the rights to that animatronic horror film. Huh. I wonder what will happen. Here we go, guys! The whole reason why I made this video. I make it no secret, I love horror. I love terror films. I love animatronics. I love mascots. I love nostalgia. This movie is practically gift wrapped for me. I first watched it when it came out with a couple of friends, and I'm pretty sure I was the only one who enjoyed myself that night. The common folk of the world generally find the splits unfunny and creepy, and animatronic horror was skyrocketing. This was probably the smartest thing they could have done with the Banana Splits franchise at this moment in time. No one was giving love to the Banana Splits in 2018. The franchise was dead in the water! Again! Until, and thanks to a little 2019 horror comedy, the Banana Splits were back! Some fans act like a horror film is the worst thing to ever happen to the franchise. First off, I watched Banana Splits in Hocus Pocus Park. Also, let's not pretend that violence or people getting murdered wasn't in the original show. Well, it's 2024. Time to rewatch the film. The film is about a family that takes their birthday boy to a taping of the Banana Splits, a popular children's show that has been constantly running since the 1960s.
Yeah, right.
The show is suddenly canceled by one evil executive, causing the animatronic characters to begin a murder spree. The designs of the Splits have been slightly tweaked to make them more scary? Fleagle looks a lot like his 2008 redesign, with the large head, ginormous head. Ah, the horror! The black rings around his eyes are greatly exaggerated, causing a evil eyebrow effect. I don't quite see it, but I understand what they're going for. Oh, and you know how I said the magician thing would come back? They reference that. Fleagle has an entire magic set in the film, which is a nice callback to a recurring gag that no one can currently watch. Bingo has these larger black dots for his eyes and, oddly enough, smaller teeth. Weird choice, because larger teeth and smaller eyes tend to be more frightening in my dearest opinion. Drooper. Oh, my Drooper! They gave him eyes! Eyes! And nostrils. Ooh, spooky! And Snorky just looks cute. Very similar to his season 2 appearance in the 1970s. If they wanted to make these costumes scary, all they had to do was watch the Ice show. Watching the film again, I did enjoy myself. I always say I don't like slashers out loud, but I always tend to enjoy them. The film is bad, make no mistake. It's trying to be an instant cult classic and it just falls a little short. There are a lot of stock, annoying human characters to kill and plot choices that don't make any sense, but some of the kills are fun and over the top. It's stupid. I had a good night watching it. My only real complaint is, once again, the Splits themselves. The Banana Splits characters are not characters in this movie. They are voiceless, killing husks. Wouldn't this comedy horror be way more funny if the Banana Splits were killing people in character? I want the Banana Splits to be on a murder spree, not something that only looks like the Banana Splits. Instead, we are left with mute, back-straight robots that kill without any real personality. The only time the Splits are their zany, bouncing selves is when they're on air. Even when meeting guests, they act like props. It's a real shame. I wonder if production didn't want to pay voice actors, or if they prefer Michael Myers to Freddy Krueger. You know what I mean? Personally, I like Freddy more. He's funny, still evil, and murderous, and super fun to watch. I don't find Michael Myers scarier, just easier to shoot. Shoot as in like film, not shoot. He's very hard to shoot. The actor who plays Michael never has to really do anything. He just stands there, menacingly. Meanwhile, Robert Englund gives his whole heart. That's just my opinion. I know somebody who's clutching their pearls right now, and I apologize. Except I don't, because I'm right. It would have made the movie more fun and the Banana Splits themselves to be the showstoppers if they were only allowed to bounce around and quip with the human characters in real time. Instead, all their audio sounds stock. They barely interact with the human characters in a way that feels genuine. The Splits, as you can tell, are suits and effects, not actual animatronics. This is a detriment to the film because the actors in the suits tend to be very unconvincing. I don't doubt maneuvering in the costumes is very difficult. They certainly try, but the small shuffling and aborted movements are too human. So you may think, maybe the animatronics are supposed to be advanced to the point where they are very human-esque. Nope, because then we get scenes like this, or the meet and greet where they do stuff like this, where they walk like robots even though they don't have to walk that way. We see them walking normally, so why are they now? It's a choice. A very inconsistent choice. They do my boy Bingo particularly dirty. He gets no on-screen kills, is dead the majority of the film, despite being featured on the cover. Bingo, in my opinion, can be the scariest boy. His eyes are hidden, he's always smiling, he's ginger. He's the most likely to accidentally kill you in a gag, not meaning to, but unable to feel true empathy about it. I can't believe the movie squandered Bingo like this. Throughout the years, Fleagle is the split who gets the most characterization. But in this movie, that gift is given to Snorky, and oh boy, does Snorky deserve it. He's often overlooked and last. Snorky in the film is given a conflict whether to help the human characters and betray his bandmates. He's finally convinced to help the humans when they say, please. It's a dumb movie. I do think production squandered this film's potential. Like, why not use psychedelic imagery? An over-the-top psychedelic comedy horror film would have been so fun. Also, the animatronics' motivations to kill people is super weak. At first, I thought during Drooper's reprogramming at the beginning of the film, the executive saying that he wanted to replace the show with something edgy and gory is what caused the malfunction. Like, the splits are trying to save their show by being edgy. So the murder spree would have been an accident. But no. Also, side tangent, it doesn't make any sense to replace a children's show with something edgy and gory. You wouldn't replace a children's show with adult content. That doesn't make any sense. Especially when the characters go out of their way to say that the Banana Splits is still a huge hit. Really? The Banana Splits actually start killing people because their show is canceled and they want to kidnap the children so they can perform for them forever. But then their forced show isn't what they would normally perform anyway. I don't think this is going to get you renewed, boys. It feels very loose because they kill staff that they would need to keep running their show. Why? Outside of this being a slasher movie, why? It doesn't make any sense, and it's a shame because it could make sense. One tweak in the script is all they needed. If the entire staff was instead on board of canceling the Banana Split show to replace it with something new, that would make the staff traitors in the Split's eyes, and the band would want and feel justified in killing staff. Or make their reprogramming a bug because of what the executive said, as I mentioned before. It'll never be what it could have been. And what it could have been was really good. It's not goofy enough, it's not scary enough, and there are so many holes that could have been easily fixed. A sequel was in the work and canceled. And frankly, this is probably for the best. I didn't even go on my Hootie rant. First off, if you're going to make a fifth Banana Splits character, actually make her look like a Banana Splits. I don't know who pitched that. I don't know who kept that in the movie. Bad. It's for the best. Everyone say goodbye to the Banana Splits comedy horror film. Goodbye! In 2021, the streaming service HBO Max developed a show reimagining classic Hanna-Barbera characters. This is Jellystone, with an exclamation point. The show features tons of well-known characters, some which haven't been seen since Hanna-Barbera's deaths. Yogi Bear is a surgeon in the show. A surgeon! The Banana Splits also get their spotlight, but not as a rock band. They are criminals. Hardened criminals. A gang of loan sharks, robbers, mischief makers. They have records. Like, not the musical kind. Part of me thinks this is hilarious, and part of me is melancholy by the betrayal. Mainly because the voice actors aren't even trying to imitate the characters' speech patterns. It's just some dudes. Fleagle doesn't lisp.
But I am never loaning money to children again.
Drooper isn't Southern.
Don't order the side of pickles. They're not the pickles you think they are.
Bingo gets one line. One!
Don't look at me!
The designs are different and transform the characters to better suit the style of Jellystone. I just don't really love them either. It feels like less of a portrayal of the Banana Splits and more like a reference that they exist in Hanna-Barbera's catalog. This goes for the entire show. It isn't true to any character origins. A surgeon. So it's nothing to get too uptight over. I am surprised it's ongoing though. Everyone I mentioned the show to has no idea what I'm talking about. No one has seen this.
We used to be the coolest.
Could a stable person do this? It's amazing that Hanna-Barbera, or Warner Brothers for that matter, gives the Banana Splits as many chances as they got. The franchise constantly fails, but it sticks around anyway. Somehow. Like a secret pact was made at the Kellogg's plant all those years ago. And I really like them. I love them. I am the #1 Banana Splits fan. Oh, what? You want to fight me for that title? That's a title you want? I love their music. I love their designs. I like their history. I long for the Banana Splits to get the television show, the reboot they deserve. I may or may not have written up an entire TV show pitch for the Banana Splits. Frankly, that's just not something a normal person makes. The original 31 episode series had so much charm, it warms you. It isn't perfect, but oh, it could be. I would argue the drop of ratings was that the Banana Split show did not have enough banana splits in it. If you don't care for the show-in-a-show segments, the short gags featuring the banana splits probably weren't enough to hold viewers over. Even if you really like the banana splits, kids move on to other things. That's what they do. Even so, the banana splits have stood the test of time. Anyway, their reruns aired for 3 decades. Warner has been trying to reboot them constantly, which is why they should hit me up. And no matter what, after each failure, each irrelevancy, they always bounce back. Like hopefully we all do. Ugh! I'm Raya. I'm a creator. What do I have? Comic, a video game. I have video series. New animatronic retrospective will be up December 13th. All of this because of a slasher movie. That slasher movie wasn't very scary. But you know what is? Stumbling across Flegel Mpreg while making this video. Goodbye! Don't look it up!